So my name is Zoë Clark. I am NASS's Self-Management Programme Officer, and tonight I'm going to be talking all about looking after your emotional well-being when you live with axial spondyloarthritis or axial SpA. So I'll be chatting for around 10 minutes, just sharing some ideas that we have at NASS to help you look after your emotional well-being. And then it'll be great to go into the comments and look at what everyone's been discussing and sharing. So please do share what works for you, and hopefully you'll give other people lots of ideas on looking after their mental health too. So looking after your mental health and emotional well-being when you live with a long-term condition is really important. It's just as important as looking after your physical health, and generally we find that both physical health and mental health go hand in hand, so they can affect each other. So it's really important to look at both aspects of your health. So especially in these times as well, because we have a lot going on. Obviously, people are in very difficult situations at the moment, and a lot of people are feeling more isolated too. So it's even more pertinent in these times. It is important to note that if you do need any urgent help or if you need to speak to a professional, then do get in contact with your GP. And I've also put a link to our help and support page in the video description and the information about the Samaritans number as well. So if you need to speak to anyone urgently, the Samaritans are a great organisation to get in contact with. So firstly, I'm going to go through just some simple self-care techniques that you can use. The first one is looking after your putting together some calming activities that you find helpful. So calming activities are different for different people, obviously. There's a huge variety of things that people find calming, and they can be activities that you either do on your own or you do with other people. But the idea is that if you find out what works for you and what you find calming, you can then have a list and have a note, so that in times of need, you've got a go-to list and you know exactly what you can do to help. It's also really important to look at these activities and find ways that you can schedule them into your week, into your day, and into your month as well. Particularly at the moment when things can be a little bit more stressful and plans are all over the place, actually carving out some time in your day or in your week to do some calming activities to help you feel grounded, to help manage any stress and look after your emotional well-being is really important. So some really simple examples could be going for a walk or doing exercise if you enjoy that, reading or writing, journaling in particular, a lot of people do find very helpful, particularly when dealing with a long-term condition. Writing about it, it just in terms of managing the thoughts going around in your head and your mental health can be really helpful. And of course, speaking to other people or doing something creative, arts and crafts, or listening to music, these are all examples of things that people can find really calming and really helpful. So not only use these when you are feeling stressed or when you're feeling low, but also make sure that you schedule them in day to day to actually help reduce the likelihood that you are going to get these low periods. Next, as I mentioned at the beginning, looking after your physical health is really important too. Understandably, if our physical health is reduced, then that's going to have an impact on our mental health and vice versa. So it seems really obvious, but making sure that your Axial SpA is as well controlled as possible is really, really important for your mental health. So don't be afraid to speak to your doctor, your physiotherapist, or your rheumatologist if you're feeling like your AS is not well controlled. So normally we would say that's if you're getting flare-ups more frequently than usual, or if they're more severe when they do occur. And also if you're dealing with a lot of pain, particularly night pain, and a lot of fatigue as well. If you're experiencing that, then do speak to your healthcare team. And also when speaking with your doctors and with your physiotherapist, it is really important to mention to them how you're feeling emotionally as well, because there are different services that they may be able to refer to if you do need any support with that. Some really simple tips for looking after your physical health. They sound obvious, but it's always worth going through them because it's really easy for these things to slip out of our minds and for bad habits to come in, and then we end up having physical symptoms that then have a knock-on effect to our mental health as well. So some simple things like making sure that you're sleeping well and you're sleeping enough. I did a previous video all about night pain, so if your pain is disrupting your sleep, then do check back in our videos on the Facebook page, but also on My AS My Life on our website. And also making sure that you're eating and drinking well, so keeping a nice, healthy, balanced diet, and do speak to a nutritionist if you want any specific advice on this. Also, make sure that you're physically active and you're doing regular exercise as well. Again, if you need help with that, then a physiotherapist is a great person to speak to. And you can also see our website for all our advice on exercises that you can do for different areas as well. In terms of managing fatigue, do have a look at our guide to fatigue and look at our advice on pacing as well. So pacing your activities is really important, and actually that ties into the previous topic that I was talking about, all about doing calming activities. If you can plan your week out and you can plan in rest breaks and time for calming activities, it can help manage your fatigue as well as help improve your mental health and emotional well-being as well. Now, mindfulness has become a little bit of a buzzword. We have had a previous video on this, and it's up on our YouTube page and on our website as well. A really great mindfulness session that you can try out to see how it works for you, because obviously different things work for different people. But it's also important to look at how you can bring mindfulness in your day-to-day life as well. So it's really easy to go about our normal activities and our normal tasks almost in autopilot, not really thinking about what we're doing. And actually, if we look at activities that normally we don't really think about as we're doing them, you can use that as a mindfulness task to help you stay really present in the moment and also help take your mind off anything that you may be worrying about and just bringing it onto a really simple, easy task. So a good example of this is making a cup of tea or coffee, also cleaning your teeth or doing housework. It's a time when naturally our mind can wander because we're not really thinking about what we're doing, but actually we can help control that by really focusing on the activity. It's natural that even as you're practicing this and trying to do this mindful activity, your mind will still wander, but that's fine, because just as you notice it, just make sure that you bring your awareness back to what you're doing, and just keep practicing that, and it does get easier as well. It just helps give you a little bit of a mental rest break in the day, and can be really calming and help just reduce any stress from building up. You can also look at activities that you find fun and that really distract you as well. So it's important to make sure that you plan fun, distracting activities each day, or at least each week as well. And then also looking after your mental health is really important by looking at what you're consuming in terms of the news and in terms of social media. Particularly with the internet nowadays, we're switched on all the time, and it can be really easy to be taking in too much negativity through news and through social media. So looking at when you're accessing these things, so perhaps maybe not looking first thing in the morning if you find that once you look at something it then affects your mood for the rest of the day. And similarly, if you find it difficult to relax and get to sleep in the evening, trying to avoid any sort of negative news or any sort of negative social media last thing at night before you go to bed can be really helpful. So sometimes you can just set yourself that you would only look at the news or look at social media in the middle of the day around lunchtime. You'd get your updates and you'd have a look, and then you'd carry on with your day, and then it helps reduce the impact that that may have on you as well. And I've previously, in a Flare video, I've gone through the joy jar. So this is something that is especially important at the moment, with lots of events being cancelled and it being very difficult to plan ahead. We can feel quite out of control, and it can be really hard when you don't have lots of things to look forward to, particularly if you're battling pain and fatigue during the day and feeling isolated. So the joy jar is a way to combat this. So if you get an empty jar and decorate it any way that you want, and then put a cut in the top of the lid so that you can slot paper through, then anytime you think of an activity or something you would like to do at some point in the future, you just write that on the slip of paper and you post it into the joy jar. And you make a commitment to yourself that at some point in the future, you're going to do everything that is in that jar. So you may not know when, you may not know how you'll get to that point, especially if you've got restrictions in terms of COVID restrictions locally, but you're making a commitment that everything in that jar you are going to do at some point. So it gives you things to look forward to, even though it may be a little bit out of your control at the moment as to when they'll happen. And it's really nice if you are feeling strong and you're feeling positive, you can then open up the joy jar, look at all the different activities, and sometimes over time you'll find that an activity that you had previously thought you couldn't do, you then look and you find that actually it is something that you can plan in now. You may be feeling well enough, or you may be able to go out and do those things. It's just a nice way of making sure there are still things to look forward to, with, even when we're in this time where we've lost a little bit of our control over our time like that. And then carrying on from feeling positive and feeling grateful as well. Gratitude, again, is a little bit more of a buzzword, and I don't want to sound too woo, but a lot of people find that keeping a gratitude journal can be really helpful just to focus their mind a little bit on the more positive aspects, even if they're quite small things. So the idea is that at the end of each day, you think of 3 things that you're grateful for and you write those down. So it can be physically writing it in a notebook. Some people find they have one particular place for it. You could jot it down in your phone notes, and basically you're just going to think about your day and you're going to really focus on 3 things that you are really grateful for, or that made you happy or made you smile. So it could be that you spoke to a loved one. It could be that you saw a nice bird in the garden, or you saw a nice sunset. I was going to say sunrise, but with AS I don't see many of those. But yeah, you focus on 3 things that day that you've enjoyed and you're grateful for, and you write them down. But the main thing is that you really focus on them and you really take them in and appreciate them, and gradually over time this will help in terms of your general mood and your outlook, but also it makes it easier as you're going through the day to notice those smaller things as well, because you'll be looking out for things to think, oh, I can write that down later. So it does help in terms of your general mood day to day as well. And then finally, speaking to someone, obviously this is really important. So it can be related to your actual axial SpA and how you're coping with your condition, in which case sometimes talking to someone who also has the condition can be really helpful. So looking at online forums, or even calling the NASS helpline and speaking to someone here at NASS who can either empathise or has lots of experience of talking to people with the same condition. It may also be that you want to speak to someone and not necessarily talk about your condition, and maybe be distracted and have some time away from thinking about the condition. That is equally as important. So as much as we say it's important to accept your condition and to talk about it, we do recognise that at times the best thing that you can do is just be distracted from it and have some time away from it as well, in a healthy way like that. So with friends and family, it's important that if you are speaking to them about your condition, it's someone that you trust and you feel confident with. And then you may well have friends and family who you would prefer to have time with, in terms of ignoring your AS and just having fun and just forgetting about it for a short time. Of course, if you are really struggling or you'd like some professional help, speak to your GP or your rheumatologist, who may be able to refer you to see someone, or they can recommend a service locally, because it is really important to speak to a trained therapist or counsellor if you are struggling. As I said at the beginning as well, Samaritans are an excellent organisation. So they provide a 24-hour helpline that's completely confidential. It's a non-religious organisation, and they're all volunteers there. Their goal is just to sit and listen to people, so they can help people in all different situations. So the telephone number for them is in the video description if you do need to speak to them as well. So that is all the information that I've got to share with you. So hopefully lots of people have been sharing in the comments things that work for them. Do let me know what you think of them, and if there's anything else that you find that helps in terms of your emotional well-being and just keeping that positive outlook as well, and helping you process things. So I'll have a look in the comments now. So Healy Michelle says, hey, have you any advice for my 13-year-old daughter? She's just recently been diagnosed with AS. Okay, so obviously that can be really difficult, both for her and also for you as her parent. So definitely make sure that she's under the care of a rheumatologist, and do speak to them about any services locally that she can access in terms of both physical support and mental health support as well. On the My AS My Life page, we have published information all about studying with Axial SpA as well. We've put together a worksheet that you can use to write down how the condition affects her, and then you can use that to speak to the school and get any accommodations that you may need. So do have a look on our website. We've put the link for the My AS My Life in the video description as well. If you have any questions though, give our helpline a call. Again, the number's in the video description, because it might be that we can give more specific advice for that. But definitely if she's under the care of a rheumatologist, that's the best place to then start to then access other help and support as well. Hi Lynn and Julie, thank you for watching, both loving the joy jar. Oh, and Julie's done the gratitude journal as well and finds that it really works, and so does Anne. That's great. Does anybody have any other things that they've tried that they found helpful? do share them in the comments, and let me know if you have any questions as well. While I'm giving you a couple of minutes to do that, I'll let you know that next week our live session is going to be on Thursday. So that's Thursday the 15th of October, and at 7 p.m. I'm very happy to say that Zoë Clark, physiotherapist, is going to be back again, and she's going to be talking all about posture. It's going to be quite an interactive session. She's going to be going through what good posture is, why it's important for Axial SpA, and also how you can check your own posture and then how you can improve it as well. So do join Emily live 7 p.m. next Thursday. As always, if you can't join live, then you can catch up on our page afterwards, and we'll also pop more information on the website too. Some couple more comments coming in. So Lynn says, I keep a pain diary. It helps me capture the dark days, but also the really positive days I've had too. That's really nice and really important. Thank you for sharing that, Lynn. Because it's really easy with pain diaries, obviously, because you're logging your pain as the primary symptom. It can be easy for it to almost feel like a really negative activity. But as much as you can track those high pain days and look at what's maybe contributed towards the pain and ways that you can hopefully reduce that, you can also look and track the low pain days and see what's contributed to that as well. So as important as it is to know what you can do to help reduce pain, it's also helpful to look at maybe patterns that are occurring that have actually contributed to lower pain days. That's really, really important. Yeah, and Julie says, indeed, it's worth speaking to the rheumatologist about mental health issues. I was able to see a psychologist at the rheumatology department, and that was helpful. That's really good to hear, Julie. Not everyone has access to them directly through the rheumatologist, but if not, then the GP. And also on our help and support page, we've got information about charities like Mind Charity too. So there is help out there, so it's well worth speaking and just making sure that you're discussing it with your healthcare team. Brandy, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, sorry if I haven't, says, I've been diagnosed AS, RA and fibromyalgia. Keep moving, stay positive, rest and support from groups, friends and family. Absolutely, thank you. That's really, really nice of you to share. They really are some of the main things that I end up saying in these Facebook Lives. It really is keep moving, looking after your emotional health, speaking to people as well, so finding supportive friends and family to surround yourself with. They're really some of the key things that you can do. And Julie's also shared that she finds simply journaling about anything, my dreams, my negative thoughts on a daily basis really helps to keep a clear mind. Absolutely. It's a bit like when you have lots of things to do and you write a to-do list. Once you've got it on paper, you can just forget about it and you're not constantly going through it in your mind. So similarly with dreams or any negative feelings, if you get them down on paper, sometimes that's enough just to feel like it's a weight off, and you can forget about it now because you've got it on paper. You don't have to keep going through it in your mind. So it's really good that works for you. And Lindsay asks, my mum has a heart condition, so unable to take anti-inflammatories. Is there something that may help? I would recommend speaking to a pharmacist for that, because they'd be able to give proper advice on medication. I'm not able to advise on that. Also, it might be worth speaking to the rheumatologist, because they may have other medications that help control the inflammation, so like biologics and things like that. It depends on the condition and any other medications she's taking as well. If you want to, do give our helpline a call as well, because we can always chat about the situation. But I expect the GP and the rheumatologist will be the best people to speak to for that, Lindsay. Lynn says, not able to watch, is about to put child to bed, but she has the positive doodle diary, which sounds like the sort of thing you may be discussing. Thank you for this. Is there any way to catch up? Yep, Lynn, don't worry. The video will stay on the page, and then we'll pop it on My AS My Life and our YouTube channel afterwards, so you can catch up then. But I will look at the positive doodle diary, thank you, and I can pop a link in the video description as well if that looks like the sort of thing I'm referring to. But absolutely, that anything where you're writing down thoughts or you're helping to promote positivity is all really helpful as well. Right, so I'll wait just a few more seconds to see if there's any more comments. It's really, really helpful and really nice to get people sharing what's worked for them. So thank you everyone for joining live. And I do always check the comments after the video for a few days to see if anyone's caught up and has had any questions. But of course, if you want to get in touch with us, then do give the helpline a call, or you can email me directly, zoe@nass.co.uk. there's no more comments coming in yet, but I'll just give it a second just in case. I don't want to cut anyone off. But as I said, next week, so the session next week is going to be on Thursday with Emily Clark, the physiotherapist, all about posture. So do catch up with that and check in live if you can to take part, and also ask her all your questions as well. And she's very kindly going to be doing a blog post for us as well. Thanks for joining, Anne. Right, so I think I will sign off there and let everyone relax and enjoy your evening. Hopefully trying out some of the techniques that I've just shared and looking at how they may well help your mental health and your emotional well-being as well. But do check the links in the video description, and as I said, if you need anyone to speak to, then do get in touch with the organisations we've linked to as well. Okay, so take care everyone. I hope you all keep safe, keep well, and I will see you next time. Take care, bye.